Chapter 1. God's Creation.
God created the heavens and the earth. In Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Explanation. In the very beginning, before anything else existed, God created everything. He made the earth, the sky, the stars, and the place where He lives. The Bible calls all of these the heavens. This verse reminds us that the world is not an accident. It was carefully made by God, with love and purpose. For young readers, this means that everything you see, the sun, the moon, the trees, even the air you breathe, comes from God's creation. It shows us that life has meaning because it begins with Him. Reflection question. Do you accept in your heart that God created all these things, including yourself? The earth was empty, and God hovered over the waters. In Genesis, chapter 1, verse 2, the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was on the surface of the deep, and God's Spirit was hovering over the surface of the waters. Explanation. At the very beginning, the earth had no shape and nothing was on it. It was completely dark, and water covered everything. But even in that emptiness, God's Spirit was there. He moved gently over the waters, showing that God was present, even before the world was formed. This verse reminds us that God is never absent. Even when things seem empty or confusing, His Spirit is near, ready to bring light and order. Reflection question. What do you think would happen if God did not create the universe and us, if He only created the angels? Do you believe fallen angels would still exist without God's creation of mankind? Encouragement. Take a moment to think about this. Understanding that God chose to create both the heavens and the earth, and to make us in His image, helps us see His love and purpose for humanity. God created light and separated day from night. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 3 to 5, God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw the light and saw that it was good. God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. There was evening, and there was morning the first day. Explanation. God spoke, and light appeared. He saw that the light was good, and He separated it from the darkness. The light was called day, and the darkness was called night. This was the very first day of creation. This verse shows us that God brings order and balance. From the very beginning, He gave meaning to time, day and night, and showed that both have their place in His plan. Reflection question. Do you think everything has its opposite, even from the start? Like light and darkness, male and female, good and evil. Encouragement. Think about how opposites help us understand the world. Light makes us appreciate darkness, and goodness shines brighter when we know what evil looks like. God's creation teaches us balance and purpose.
God created the sky. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 6 to 8, God said, "Let there be an expanse in the middle of the waters to separate water from water." So He made the expanse, dividing the waters below from the waters above, and He called the expanse sky. This was the second day. Explanation simplified. The expanse is the sky or atmosphere that surrounds the earth. It is made mostly of nitrogen and oxygen, with small amounts of other gases and water vapor. The sky separates two kinds of water: waters below oceans, rivers, lakes, and seas; waters above moisture in the air and clouds, which later becomes rain. So, there's one sky placed in the middle, dividing the waters below from the waters above. Within this expanse are layers where clouds form, airplanes fly, and beyond that the stars and space begin. Reflection question. When you look at the sky, do you remember that God made it to protect the earth and provide rain for life? God created the land and seas. In Genesis chapter 1, verses 9 to 11, God said, "Let the waters under the sky be gathered into one place, and let dry land appear." And it was so. God called the dry land earth, and the gathered waters He called seas. God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the earth produce vegetation, grass plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit with seed inside, each according to its kind." And it was so. Explanation. God looked at the world and commanded the waters to gather together so that dry land could appear. The land was named earth, and the waters were named seas. God saw that this was good. Next, he commanded the earth to grow plants, green grass, herbs with seeds, and fruit trees with fruit containing seeds inside. The earth responded, and it became full of plants, just as God had said. God was pleased with what he had made. God created the plants and trees. In Genesis, chapter 1, verses 11 to 12, God said, "Let the earth yield grass, herbs yielding seeds, and fruit trees bearing fruit after their kind, with their seeds in it on the earth." And it was so. The earth brought forth grass, herbs with seeds, and fruit trees with seeds inside their fruit. And God saw that it was good. Explanation. On the third day, God made all the plants and trees. They were full of life and ready to grow. Each plant and tree had seeds so they could keep making more of their kind. God looked at them and said it was good. Later, in Genesis chapter 2, the Bible tells the same story with more details. It explains that before the Garden of Eden was made, the ground was still dry, and Adam was not yet there to care for it. This shows us that God's creation was carefully planned step by step. Reflection question. When you see plants, flowers, or fruit trees, do you remember that God made them to give us food, beauty, and life?
God separated light from darkness, and he made the stars. In Genesis, chapter 1, verses 13 to 19. There was evening, and there was morning, the third day. God said, "Let there be lights in the expanse of a sky to separate the day from the night. Let them serve as signs to mark seasons, days, and years, and let them give light on the earth." And it was so. God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the expanse of the sky to give light to the earth, to rule over the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. God saw that it was good. There was evening, and there was morning the fourth day. Explanation. On the fourth day, God created the sun to shine during the day, the moon to shine at night, and he also made the stars. These lights gave light to the earth, marked time, and showed the order of days, seasons, and years. God saw that it was good. Note, the expanse of the sky means the wide space above the earth where the sun, moon, stars, and clouds are placed. God created creatures of the sea and the birds. In Genesis, chapter 1, verses 20 to 23, God said, "Let the waters abound with living creatures, and let birds fly above the earth in the open expanse of the sky." So, God created the great sea creatures and every living thing that moves in the waters, each according to its kind, and every winged bird according to its kind. God saw that it was good. God blessed them, saying, "Be fruitful and multiply, fill the waters and the seas, and let the birds multiply on the earth." There was evening, and there was morning, the fifth day. Explanation. On the fifth day, God filled the seas with fish and sea creatures, and he made birds to fly in the sky. He blessed them, telling them to multiply and fill the waters and the earth. God saw that it was good. God created the livestock, wild animals, and creatures that move along the ground. In Genesis, chapter 1, verses 24 to 25, God said, "Let the earth produce living creatures according to their kinds, livestock, creeping things, and wild animals, each according to its kind." And it was so. God made the animals of the earth according to their kinds, the livestock according to their kinds, and everything that creeps on the ground according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. Explanation. On the sixth day, God commanded the earth to bring forth animals of every kind, farm animals, wild creatures, and small crawling things. And it happened just as he said. God made them all, each in their own kind, and he saw that it was good. God created mankind, male and female, in Genesis, chapter 1, verse 26 to 27. God said, "Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, the livestock, all the earth, and every creeping thing that moves on the ground." So, God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. Explanation. On the sixth day, God decided to make people in his own image, reflecting his likeness. He gave them authority over the fish, birds, animals, and all the earth. Then God created humans, both male and female, each bearing his image. God said to mankind to be fruitful and increase in number. In Genesis, chapter 1, verses 28 to 30, God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea, the birds of the sky, and every living thing that moves on the earth." God also said, "I have given you every seed-bearing plant on the earth and every tree with fruit containing seed. They will be your food. And to every animal, bird, and creature that moves on the ground, I have given every green plant for food." And it was so. Notes: when God first made Adam and Eve, he told them to eat plants and fruits. Everyone, people and animals, ate only plants. Later, after the Great Flood, God said people could also eat animals for food. See Genesis 9 verse 3. Explanation: God blessed humanity, instructing them to be fruitful, multiply, and fill the earth. He gave them authority to rule over all living creatures. God provided seed-bearing plants and fruit trees as food for people, and green plants as food for animals and birds. This blessing was first spoken to Adam and Eve, but it was meant for all mankind, the whole human race created in his image. Clarification: mankind in this verse. The word mankind, or humankind, means all human beings collectively, not just one person. In Hebrew, the word Adam can mean man, human, or humanity. It's a collective term. So, while God was speaking directly to Adam and Eve, the command and blessing applied to all humanity, everyone who would come after them. Reflection: God's blessing wasn't only for Adam and Eve, it was for all people. It means that humanity as a whole is meant to grow in number, care for the earth, and live in God's image. This blessing is a gift and a responsibility for everyone. God's creation is complete. In Genesis, chapter 1, verse 31, God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. There was evening, and there was morning the sixth day. God rested from all his work. In Genesis, chapter 2, verses 1 to 3, the heavens, the earth, and all their vast array were finished. On the seventh day God completed his work which he had done, and he rested from all his work. God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because on it he rested from all the work of creation he had done. Explanation: God completed creation, and on the seventh day he rested from his work. He blessed that day and made it holy, setting it apart as a time of rest. This shows that rest is part of God's design, and the seventh day became a special, holy day.